Good morning, guys. This is Melanie from Steeleville Baptist Church, and we are getting ready to read about Joseph. Last week we read about Noah and God's promise to us and through Noah. And this week we're going to read about Joseph and the coat of many colors. This is called The Dreamer from Genesis 37, 39 through 50. This is a story of a man named Joseph and of how God used the evil plans of some to save the lives of many. Long, long ago, there lived a man named Jacob who had 12 sons. But he loved his son Joseph best of all and gave him a beautiful robe of many colors. This made Joseph's brothers hate him. Sometime later, Joseph dreamed that he and his brothers were gathering bundles of grain. Suddenly, Joseph's bundle stood straight up while the others all bowed down to him. When Joseph told his brothers about the dream, they said, "Do you really think we'll bow down to you?" And they hated him even more. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers who were in the fields with their flocks. The brothers saw him coming and planned a way to kill him. But one brother said, "Don't kill him, throw him into this pit instead." So the brothers did just that. When a caravan of Ishmaelites passed by, the brothers sold Joseph to them as a slave. They then dipped his beautiful robe in animal blood and gave it to their father. Jacob thought a wild animal had killed his son. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken to Egypt and sold to a man named Potiphar. But God was with Joseph and blessed him in everything he did. Potiphar saw this and put him in charge of all of his household. When Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph to betray his master, Joseph said no. So she told a terrible lie about him, and Potiphar threw him in prison. But even in prison, God was with Joseph. Soon he was in charge of all the other prisoners. Sometime later, Pharaoh, the king, became angry with his cupbearer and baker and put them in prison too. There they both dreamed strange dreams. With God's help, Joseph explained their dreams. The cupbearer would go back to his job, but the baker would die. "Tell Pharaoh about me," Joseph begged the cupbearer. But when the cupbearer returned to Pharaoh, he forgot all about Joseph. 2 years later, Pharaoh also dreamed strange dreams. 7 plump, healthy cows were eaten by 7 thin, ugly cows, and 7 thin heads of grain ate up 7 fat heads of grain. No one could tell Pharaoh what the dreams meant. Suddenly, the cupbearer remembered Joseph. With God's help, Joseph said, "Your dreams mean there will be 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. You should appoint a man to gather up all the extra food during the good years, then store it so that Egypt won't starve during the famine." Pharaoh said, "You will be that man. You will be over all of Egypt. Only I will be greater than you, Joseph." During the 7 good years, Joseph stored up all the extra grain. When the famine came, only Egypt had grain. People from every nation came to Joseph to buy food. Jacob even sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. But the youngest son, Benjamin, didn't go. Jacob was afraid something might happen to him. Joseph's brothers came and bowed before him. Joseph knew them instantly, but they did not know him. Joseph pretended to be angry and called them spies. Then he threw them in prison. After 3 days, Joseph kept one brother in prison and sent the rest home. "Don't come back unless you bring your youngest brother with you," he said. "Then I will know you aren't spies." The brothers told their father all that had happened. Still, Jacob wouldn't let Benjamin go. But soon the grain was gone, and Jacob had no choice. If Benjamin didn't go to Egypt, they would all starve. So once more the brothers went to see Joseph. But after their bags were filled with grain, Joseph secretly ordered that his own silver cup be hidden in Benjamin's bag. The next morning the brothers set off. They hadn't gone far when Joseph's servant caught up to them. "Why have you stolen my master's cup?" he said. "We didn't steal anything," the brothers said. But the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. The brothers tore their clothes in sadness and returned to Joseph's house. There they fell on the ground before him. Joseph could stand it no longer. "I am Joseph," he cried. The brothers were terrified, but Joseph said, "Don't be worried or angry with yourselves. God sent me here ahead of you to keep you alive. Go back and bring my father and all of your families here. I will make sure you have plenty of food." Joseph's brothers did as he said, and that is how the Hebrew people came to live in Egypt. Joseph's brothers had planned to hurt him by selling him as a slave, but God took their evil plan and used it to save not only their lives, but many more lives as well. In that same way, the men who put Jesus on the cross had an evil plan, but God used their plan for the great good of all of his people. And it says, "We know that all things work together for the good of those who love God." Romans 8:28. So God always has a plan for us, and God always has good plans in store for us. Even if maybe things aren't so good, like right now we're going with the pandemic, and that's kind of scary, sort of. But God has a plan through all of this, the pandemic, everything, and he is working together for his good. Now, Alta and Lena made little crafts to share, and if you want to make some crafts and put them in the comments, I would love to see them. Last week, I know Cora did. So what we did was we just cut out a little coat, and the girls glued on many colors, and then we wrote, "Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors." And that's from Genesis 37:3. We will see you next week at 9:45. Bye.